I guess how would you grade the overall team's performance in Georgia?
I think it was definitely a step in the right direction. Obviously, there's still so much we can improve on. Landings weren't the best. We've been working hard on those landings that didn't really show in the competition, so we're going to go in this week and really dial in on those landings because we can do so much better. But again, another step in the right direction. We're just going to keep going up from there.
I know the road has been, struggling at times this year, not the case this past weekend. Did you notice anything different with the team's energy, maybe mentality going into this one?
I think we just really tried to keep the same mentality like we came in here the week before. Like, it's different equipment, it's a different environment, but we're still doing the same exact gymnastics. We're not doing any new routines whenever we go somewhere else. So just keeping the same mindset no matter where we go, no matter what team we're competing against, because every single time we compete out there, we're competing against everybody in the country. We're not just competing against one team.
Balance beam seems to be an issue for your team, especially on the road. What was it this week to finally be able to stick beam and get that result you needed at the end?
I think this whole season, Bugs, has really talked about finding our process, finding what works for us, and getting in our hourglass, because everybody's process looks different. So I feel like she's done a really good job with working with each one of us individually and figuring out what works best for us. And I feel like this meet, it showed, and honestly last week as well. And we're just going to keep going in the right direction, keep focusing on what works for us and what works best for this team, and keep going.
Haleigh, what did that 10 on beam mean to you?
It meant everything. I feel like I've worked so hard, but I really couldn't do it without my team, my coaches, all the support staff here. And I feel like if you would have asked me 10 years ago, or told me 10 years ago that I would have been in this spot right now, accomplishing the things that I'm accomplishing, getting the opportunities that I'm getting, I probably would have looked at you and laughed. But it's just been absolutely amazing. My time here at LSU has been nothing short of amazing, and I'm just so thankful for Jay, the whole coaching staff, my teammates, my family, my friends that have supported me along the way, because I seriously couldn't have done that without them.
Did you ever think you'd be the first LSU gymnast to stick a Grand Slam and get 10 on all 4 events?
Definitely not, but I really just focus on one skill at a time, one routine at a time, and I know if I do my normal gymnastics, it's going to be the best for this team, and that's all I'm here to do.
Haleigh, what's the key to your versatility? Like, when you were growing up, did you always try to want to be good at everything you did?
Definitely. I always wanted to win. I'm a big competitor, but I feel like it's just the mindset that I've had since such an early age. My coaches have taught me, my family's taught me, just to really lock into every single thing you do and want to be the best at whatever you're doing. And I feel like that's something I've learned over the years and have grown in that aspect a lot. But yeah, I'll leave it there.
What makes you so consistent for this team to be able to get pretty much a 9-9 every single time you're out on the floor?
I think just the same mindset. Every single time I go up on an event, I think about the same things. I think about my cues and just focusing on those things in practice too, because you don't want to change it just when you go out onto the competition floor. So just consistency in practice, doing what I do every single day there, and just telling myself the same things over and over again, because consistency is key, and that's really just what I'm focusing on for this team.
You mentioned the landings. Is there anything else in particular that you think you need to improve and work on as the season goes along?
I feel like there's always room for improvement on everything you do. Landings are a big one, definitely, just because that's kind of our sport. Whenever somebody sticks, that's kind of what people look at. But honestly, I think mindset and just the way we approach every single event is something we really need to work on, because the gymnastics is there, the skills are there. We see it day in and day out of the gym, but just having the same mindset we have in the gym. And I'm trying to talk to all the freshmen, the underclassmen, just trying to kind of let them know how things work and what they should think about whenever they go out onto the competition floor. So I think mindset and just approach is going to be a big thing we focus on this week.
There are a lot of seniors and grad students on this team, including you. Not knowing maybe what's after this. Mm-hmm. What have they meant to you? What has the journey been like with them? And
Yeah. Like I said before, my time here at LSU has been nothing short of amazing. I'm so thankful for each and every one of these people on this team. I wouldn't have been able to accomplish anything without them. They've been the best role models, the best teammates, the best sisters I could ever ask for. I'm just so thankful for them and so excited to see what they do after this, because they're just amazing people, not just amazing gymnasts, and they've meant the absolute world to me.
Coach talks a lot about the standard here, how high it is. In your words, what is the standard here?
Oh, that's a good question. I think just wanting to be the best every single day, not even just in gymnastics, but in school, and just the way we carry ourselves outside the gym, because everybody always, like, we're known, everybody looks at us, so just making sure we're holding ourselves to that standard of just being the best we can be inside and outside of the gym, if that answers your question. Thank you.
Good job, eh?
Thank you.
Jay, we just talked about Haleigh's accomplishments this weekend, and then obviously in her career. What has she meant to this program?
I mean, I feel like we have the same conversation every week. She's that consistent, and you see it in her answers and everything. That's who she is, y'all. I mean, when I talk to her, those are the answers I get. And they're not contrived, and they're not. It's just genuinely how she feels, and she's been tremendous. She's an all-timer in my book, but we're not, I mean, we're halfway through this season, and, I'm going to do my best to convince her that maybe one more year is in her best interest and all those things. So certainly not done yet, but what she's done in her career from a gymnastics standpoint is only a small piece of it. It's the whole package. It's the influence that she has on those around her. It's the way she represents our program and this university and her family and just everybody. I'm proud to be associated with her. She makes me better just being around her.
Halfway through this season, who do you feel like have been some of the unsung heroes of this team through halfway?
Oh, there's a lot of them, and I appreciate that question because I think a lot of times, everybody wants to focus on our kids that are doing the all-around, and Kaya and Haleigh and Aaliyah Finnegan certainly are deserving of all the attention that they get. But I think KJ Johnson is a huge part of what we do, not just the two events that she does at an incredibly consistent level, but also the edge and the personality and the thing that she provides in terms of the energy of the group. I think Sierra is a big part of that too, incredibly tenacious competitor and a big performer for us. I think Sav has come in and been a real kind of steadying force for us in so many ways. She's very verbal with the team now, and that's something that we haven't had a lot of around here, and she's doing a great job on every event. You've only seen her compete too, but she's doing a great job there. So there's a lot of them. I could go on and on, but I think the mark of a great team is to have all of those people, everybody embracing their role. And I think, we're not perfect at it, and there are times when personal aspirations can cloud people's vision from time to time, but and that's just human nature. But I think overall our group does a great job of understanding the impact that they have and doing the things within their own personality and being able to affect the positive forward movement of our team and our program. So those are just a few that come to mind.
Coach, you talk about all the unsung heroes. I kind of want to bring you back to Haleigh. How rare is it to have a gymnast like her where she's so consistent all the time and is getting those gym grand slams that rarely happen?
Well, it's rare, but it's also necessary. You think about all the great teams in the past, here and anywhere else. They always had somebody on that team that was sort of a rock if they didn't have more than one. I've always thought that a championship team really needs a great 1-2 punch, from consistent performers that do all four events, and certainly we've got that, but we've now added Connor, and we've added Sav, and we've added so many others to that, and Aaliyah is a big part of that. It is rare, but it's also necessary. And so I think the fact that we have several of those types of gymnasts on our team, bodes very well for us, and not only for this year, but the future's bright too in the next several years as we go, because we're gonna still have some of those people around.
Coach, what do you think was the biggest difference between this past meet and then Missouri a couple weeks
I
ago?
think it's just normal growth. I think we make a lot of first and second meet mistakes, and we still want to bring that up from time to time. But I think, particularly you mentioned balance beam earlier, it really hasn't been a problem after the first or second meet. It's, doesn't mean we haven't had mistakes, but we've had mistakes in other places. The place that I thought we didn't perform well this week was on bars and vault. I thought floor and beam were outstanding, and so we're in a normal growth pattern. We're entering the mid part of the season, and we should begin to level out, and we should begin to hit our stride and be more consistent, and that's what I'm seeing. So I think I trust these guys, these women. I trust their mindset. I trust who they want to be. Are we going to be perfect at it every single meet? Probably not, but as we go, are we going to become more consistent with that mindset and that approach? It looks that way, and I anticipate them to continue to grow and continue to be better each week, and so far that's what we've seen.
Haleigh mentioned landings and working on those. Is that one of the takeaways that you feel like this group can get better this week?
Yeah, we landed one bar dismount and one vault out of 12 routines to start a meet, and we still walked away with a fairly comfortable win. I think, there's two ways of looking at that, right? You can focus on the negative, or you can look at it and go, guys, hey, we got to stay the course. When we start really finding those landings consistently, because I've seen us go 5 out of 6 on bars, and I've, a couple of times this year, and then have issues in other areas. So when everything settles down, when the dust settles, I think this team will be very consistent in all those facets. I don't want to knee jerk after that meet. I thought they did a great. I never felt like that meet was in doubt, even though we were walking around on landings and things like that. There was an ease and a confidence that I had not felt necessarily all year, and I never felt like they were going to relinquish the lead or anything like that. They were fighting with themselves, and I may have said it in another interview. They were trying to lace it every time, just trying to, really overemphasize maybe. And some of that, we've got to make sure that we don't talk too much about either, because what we're seeing in practice is great, and at some point that's going to carry over, and we're going to begin to see that more times than not when we get into competition.
Just curious if you guys did anything different to get used to the road equipment maybe this past meet than you have before.
There's not anything you can do, because you don't know what it feels like until you get there, and there's some different things out there now. There's a new foam power deck something. I don't know what they're calling it, but AAI is constantly changing specs on certain things, and everybody's kind of gone to a wood top birch floor underneath and has moved towards that, and then you put it on top of different surfaces every time you go somewhere. Sometimes it's on a basketball floor, sometimes it's on concrete. So there's really no way to know until you get there, and so what you're asking them to do is, in the 15 minutes that they get to feel the equipment when they get there, make those adjustments. And certainly I think that played a role. It's not an excuse. I mean, we can't make excuses about the things that we do. We've got to demand it of ourselves. But you do know that when we get into postseason, there's always a training day where you get in there the day before and can kind of work the kinks out on some of those things. It makes a difference. The bars flex a little more differently. Sometimes a beam will feel more wobbly on a certain surface. Sometimes, these are all little things, but they're not things that should dictate an outcome.
You mentioned the growth earlier. Do you like this team's trajectory
I do.
right now?
I do. I was the only time I was really kind of not happy. I told him after this meet that this was a step forward. I would have liked to have seen it be a little bit of a bigger step forward than it was in terms of just the sheer execution. But I thought from a mindset, an approach, and a consistency, we hit 24 routines. We didn't have a fall anywhere. Those are all really good things that we should be doing this time of year. So it was certainly a step forward. I'd like it to have been a little bit bigger. The only time I was really disappointed in anything we've done all year was the Missouri meet. We came out of that one, and I was a little salty because I felt like we just really let one get away from us right there. But other than that, the trajectory has been about right. We intentionally started a little bit slower this year, coming out of a lot of injuries from the previous year, and thought that we might start just a little bit slower, not much, but felt like we had the right kind of athletes that we could bring that pace back just a little bit. And I think that's borne itself out. Now we're headed into meet 6, I guess, Alyssa. I don't know, something like that. We ought to begin to hit our stride, and we ought to start to see a lot of the little things begin to come together. And that's the plan. That's the hope. That's the plan. That's say your prayers, take your vitamins, and get out there and do the best you can every day. That's what we're going to do.
Have you reached a point in the season where you have to start thinking about managing workloads for some of your veterans versus balancing that with NQS scores and road scores and all that?
We've already been managing workloads. We've been giving the all-arounders an extra day off every week. We did pull Haleigh from the Missouri meet on floor. We're looking at an opportunity maybe to try to get Kaya off of one of the leg events. We don't have a lot of depth on vault right now with Bryce has been nursing an ankle thing, and Chase has just gotten going again, and we need some consistency from those alternates to really be able to do that. So vault is not a place that we really have a lot of options at the moment to do that, but floor still is, and so so much of it is dictated by what we see in the gym each week. You got to feel comfortable that whoever you put out there is going to be able to get it done, and so I expect there to be good, healthy competition this week in the gym, and we'll see what we get. But I would like to get Kaya at least one meet where she doesn't go out there and do floor. And she hasn't had anything physically manifest itself, but as we get further down the line, we keep doing the all around every week. That can begin to take its toll, and so if we're able, we'd like to get her some rest too. But we have been giving she and Haleigh and the kids that have done, all 4 events in a competition extra days when we've been able to.
Do you think KJ's floor routine might have been the turning point? How she maybe gave you all a burst of energy with that routine?
Yeah, I think KJ at Georgia probably warmed up the best of anybody, and then went out there. She had the one little step forward on the full end. And again, everybody seemed to be struggling with first passes a little bit when we got over there. But yeah, KJ's a big spark plug for us, in that third spot on floor. And if the first 2 don't exactly go right, she generally will right the ship. I don't think she gets credit for as much as she deserves, and for the just the sheer power and presence of that floor routine. It's a magnificent floor routine, and it I'd like to see it get rewarded a little more than it does sometimes. Yeah, I mean, I don't make a habit of talking publicly about that, but I don't know if it's because she's third or what. But I don't know what more you could want in a floor routine than what she provides. I mean, her leaps are big. She opens with a full end. She finishes with a double back. The performance and the choreography is very powerful and very fitting of her personality and everything. It's one of my favorite routines that we have. Okay, thanks guys.